So this is Walking My Path. We're back at Fairyland Pond. Today we're going to walk up Bristol's Hill. And Thoreau talked about the folks that lived here in the Walden Chapter, in the book Walden Chapter, former Inhabitants and Winter Visitors. And I want to talk mainly about Brister Freeman, who's had some land here, and the other people that lived here before Thoreau. A lot of what I've learned about Brister Freeman came from a book called Black Walden, as a lot of the inhabitants were ex-slaves that lived here. And here's the book. I checked it out of the library by Elise Lemire. I'm by no means an expert on any of these, anything I'm talking about today. So if there's something that I missed or or I got wrong, feel free to put it in the comments. I'm learning just like everybody else is regarding this. Black Walden is what, before Thoreau moved to the woods, it's the inhabitants that lived here. Brister Freeman was a slave of a local Concord doctor and a colonel in the Revolutionary War, Colonel John Cuming. The land Brister Freeman worked on and was a slave for 30 years on was the farm over that's now owned by the prison that's on the west side of Concord. And ironically, John Cuming in the French and Indian War was captured by Indians and kept as a slave himself until someone paid his ransom and freed him, and he came back to Concord and continued being a slave owner. It's an odd turn of events. During the Revolutionary War, one of Colonel John Cuming's duties during the Revolutionary War was to make sure that Concord met its quota of soldiers, and apparently it was difficult to get enough soldiers, and so he enlisted Brister Freeman into the Revolutionary War. Brister Freeman went on three tours of duty, and so he became a veteran. And we're going to walk up this path, and towards the end of the Revolution, a lot of the large landowners fled New England, and I assume went back to England. I don't know. I guess it depends on the farm. For example, one of them was the Chambers Russell estate, and so many of the slaves were left behind, and they settled in the Walden Woods. There were approximately at least 12 families that lived here, from here all the way to Lincoln. And some of them were released out of fear that they'd be turned in to the British for being revolutionaries. And so it was complex why they were freed. They couldn't travel far because it was still legal to own slaves, and so they would pardon me, I'm a little out of breath, I'm out of shape, but they would have to stay where people knew that they were free. And a lot of them would work in town. The land had been over farmed, was no longer fertile ground, and so most were squatting. Most didn't own the land, and so that could present problems. They could be run out, I guess. And Colonel John Cuming, he fell ill after the end of the Revolutionary War. He passed away in 1788, and he was very wealthy, and he gave donations to Harvard, a local Concord community. He also gave some money to his slaves. Not many people at the time gave anything to their ex-slaves. So it was 35 pounds of sterling. I think he gave. I don't know what that would be worth in today's dollars. Brister Freeman was discharged from the army in 1780, and that was when he added the last name Freeman. Prior to that, he was just Brister, and he basically declared himself free. He walked 170 miles from West Point back to Concord, and he had family here. His sister and his mother were also slaves here, and there's a whole backstory on that. Like, his mother actually gave him away as a slave because she was afraid he'd be bought and sent out of town, and it worked out. They were able to stay together somewhat, or at least they could. I doubt they could visit, but they could at least hear how they were doing. He walked back the 170 miles, and like we stated earlier, part of the reason he'd have to stay here was because slavery was legal, and he could be put back into slavery other places, and so he stayed here. He squatted in the Walden woods from 1782 to 1784, and him and one of his buddies, Charleston Eads, pulled their funds together to buy an acre of land called the Old Field at the time, and that we'll see that we'll eventually get to his acreage, or where he actually had that. And he was able to stay on his land. He worked in town. He stayed with the elderly. He also helped with pulling wool from sheep. And I'm sure he just did whatever he needed to do to help take care of his family. According to Thoreau, he planted some apple trees. There were apple trees around. I'm not sure where those were at. I'd like to find them. That'd be fun. If they still exist. So the town's folks weren't all that thrilled with Mr. Freeman living here, actually. And at one point he was they did rescind his land rights for not paying his poll tax, which is, I don't know if the poll tax means is for voting. I'm sure he couldn't vote. I don't really know exactly what a poll tax would be at the time, and so that is a little undetermined for me. But he continued to stay on the land in spite of this tax, and he kept and he had a family. He married to a friend, Brister Freeman. They had 3 kids, and he had a sister that lived nearby. His sister's place was burned to the ground while she was away, and but he continued to live here until his death in 1822. And the land being so infertile, it really showed that most people did not stay, because it was hard to farm and subsist, hard to grow your own food, and so you either had to work in order to keep that going, or you had to figure out a way to grow the food. And so this was all before Thoreau moved here. Thoreau did talk about it, like I stated, and there were some inhabitants here when he got here. Oh, goodness, almost tripped. Thoreau compares him to Mr. Freeman to Scipio Africanus, a Roman general, in his book. And so that, so he did think highly of him. His burial site is unknown. And so Thoreau thought that he had his burial site in Lincoln, but apparently there was another Brister, and it's now thought that would be that's not the same Brister that we're talking about. And so his gravesite is unknown, which is unfortunate. The house still stands that he was originally a slave at, and we'll get a quick picture of that. I'm not sure if I'm headed the right way. It's okay, we'll edit it if it gets too long, and so that you don't have to watch too much of just the woodlands. I think some people probably, hopefully, enjoy it. All right, I did get turned around a bit. Went down the Sandy Pond path, but I've got us back on the right trail now. And back in about, I think, 2006, they thought about, we're not far from a highway, and they thought about putting in some commercial businesses right through this area. And so it became part of the trustees conservatorship, and we're at Walden Woods, Thoreau's path. And so it's the city took, or a trust, I'm not sure the details of the economics of it, but it was taken in as public land. And here we see succession and some leaves, black oak, white birch, pitch pine. This Walden Woods. At the top says, "I have great faith in seed." And as we go, we'll find a lot of quotes here by Thoreau, who he spent a lot of time up here, just in his studies of nature. Here we go. Every part of nature teaches that the passing away of one life is making room for another. The oak dies down to the ground, leaving within its rind a rich virgin mold, which will impart a vigorous life to an infant forest. The pine leaves a sandy and sterile soil, the harder woods a strong and fruitful mold. So this constant abrasion and decay makes the soul of my future grow. I really like that. Being a gardener, it really rings true. The soul in the forest is really some of the best, with the natural decomposition that happens with the leaves. Kind of see what just natural composting. It says, no wonder then that the white birch is so prevalent and characteristic. A tree with us that the seedling birches spring up every year on so many neglected spots, but especially where the surface has been cleared or burned. There's a lot of side paths that we could take. And I think we may have missed one of them. I'm going to turn on again and make sure I got it. I don't know. We'll go down and see if the circle, we're looking for the circle right now. There's what's called the Walden Circle, which is a sculptural clearing coming up here, I think. Yeah, so we're on the right path. It always looks different every time I visit. It's really beautiful here today. And I won't be able to read all of these. We have a quote by Aldo Leopold, Chief Leather Standing Bear. The old Lakota was wise. He knew that man's heart was away from nature became hard. He knew that lack of respect for growing living things soon led to lack of respect for humans too. Chief Luther Standing Bear. The quote from Rachel Arson. One from John F. Kennedy. It is our task in our time and in our generation to hand down undiminished to those who come after us, as was handed down to us by those who went before. The nature, wealth, and beauty which is ours. To do this will require constant attention and vigilance. sustained vigor and imagination. John F. Kennedy. Quote by Wendell Berry. And I'm not going to read all that. Maybe we can get some links to all the quotes. Martin Luther King Jr. A freedom ride into Mississippi, a peaceful protest in Albany, Georgia. Our outgrowths of Thoreau's insistence that evil must be resisted and that no moral man can patiently adjust to injustice. Martin Luther King Jr. This one's by Edward Wilson. Apparently it's like a letter to him almost. You searched for essence at Walden, and whether successful in your own mind or not, you hit upon an ethic, a solid feel to it. Nature is ours to explore forever. There's more here. I'll scan over it if you want to try and read that. Could a greater miracle take place than for us to look through each other's eyes for an instant? That's Henry David Thoreau. And of course we gotta have one by Emerson, Ralph Waldo Emerson. The country knows not yet, or in the least part, how great a son it has lost. His soul was made for the noblest society. Wherever there is knowledge, wherever there is virtue, wherever there is beauty, he will find a home. That's wonderful. The great Emily Dickinson. Some keep the Sabbath going to church. I keep it staying at home, with a bobolink for a chorister and an orchard for a dome. God preaches, a noted clergyman, and the sermon never long. So instead of getting to heaven at last, I'm going all alone. By Emily Dickinson. Isn't that wonderful? Oh, John Moyer. I only went out for a walk and finally concluded to stay out till sundown. For going out, I found I was really going in. John Muir. Oh, that's beautiful. And we're ending with Gandhi. What is faith if it is not translated into action? So true. Gandhi. And let's just keep going now. There's more to see. Walden Woods. So at the dedication of this walk, and mainly of Freeman, but also all these elements, there was a large event. Had many speakers. One of them being, pardon me here, John Lewis, and Don Henley. Whoopi Goldberg was there. I think more. We got the Lorax, but now says the Onsler. Now that you're here, the world of the Lorax seems perfectly clear. Unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing's going to get better. It's not. Grow a forest Protect it from an axe, that hack, then the Lorax, and all of his friends may come back. Dr. Seuss. You're in charge of the last of the Truffella seeds, and the Truffella trees are what everyone needs. Plant a new Truffella, treat it with care, give it clean water, and feed it fresh air. So catch, calls the onceler, he lets something fall. It's a Truffella seed, it's the last one of all. Isn't that great? Oh. I don't know if you can hear highways close by. Unfortunately, it does separate the trail from Walden, and that's unfortunate, but sometimes we have to do these things. And here we go. Die and be buried, who will? I mean, who? To live here still, my nature grows, ever more young, the primitive pines among us. Really a wonderful trail. Brister Hill Trail is. We're in the middle of July and there's lots of growth happening everywhere. Everything's green and lush. It's really wonderful. I think we're approaching the homestead, Brister Freeman, if I'm not mistaken. It is right on the road, and never actually been over here, so this is a first for me as well. Get to see it. You can see the highway there. Oh, okay. This is I did get turned around. All right, here we go again. I have no idea really where I'm at. The very uprightness of the pines and maples asserts the ancient rectitude and vigor of nature. Our lives need the relief of such a background where the pine flourishes and the jay still screams. What thou the woods be cut down, this emergency was long ago foreseen and provided for by nature, and the intergenum is not allowed to be a barren one. She not only begins instantly to heal that seer, but she consoles and refreshes with fruits such as the forest did not produce. Oh, excellent. That's where I was hoping to get to. It's a bench by the road. There's no place you or I can go to think about or not think about, to summon the presence of or recollect the absence of slaves. Nothing that reminds us of the ones who made the journey, and for those who did not make it, there is no suitable memorial or plaque or wreath or wall or park or skyscraper lobby. There's no 300-foot tower. There's no small bench by the road. That was by Toni Morrison in 1989, and so this is part of the Bench by the Road project. And this bench is placed in memory of Brister Freeman, the second black landowner in Concord and former slave, who after fighting in the Revolutionary War helped cultivate land on the site known as Walden Woods. Thoreau celebrated Freeman's legacy in Walden, declaring, "Grow still the apple trees, which Brister planted and tended, large old trees now, but their fruit still wild. Brister Freeman's apple orchard is tangible evidence of the fortitude, ingenuity, and love of the land held by Freeman and the other formerly enslaved men and women of Concord who found refuge in and made an enduring contribution to Walden Woods. And there's the Walden Woods project, Thoreau's Path on Bristol Hill, Concord, Massachusetts, May 22nd, 2013. And here is our bench by the road. Guess we should sit at our bench, huh? Oh, goodness. Let's go up and see our plaque, or our information kiosk here. It talks about a CSA, Walden Woods CSA, available in half shares, full shares. They have a project farm, and you can learn more about that. And there's that if you want to do that. And heard great things about it. Some of my fellow gardeners have also worked there, and they found it wonderful. And I need to figure out how to get, I think it's this way, but I'm not positive. Walden Woods. Heaven is under our feet as well as above our heads. Little blue stem, sweet fern, tiger beetles. I don't think I've seen a tiger beetle. Imagine walking along with Thoreau, thinking about the slaves that had lived here, ex-slaves I guess, that had lived here, the free men, and studying the nature. And as our study of nature is still ongoing. And here we got more quotes. We'll start at this far end over here and come back. It is now one of those frosty hollows so common in Walden Woods, where little groves, sheep's fescue grass, sweet fern haze, hazelnut bushes, and oak scrubs at length. I see a few birches and pines creeping into, which at this rate, in the course of a dozen years, will suggest a forest here. Which now, we have a forest here. Lots of pines. And we have some birch. This land was a field and over farmed, and so it had been kept from here all the way to Lincoln. Was kept mainly just for logging by the time Thoreau came to the area, and so nobody minded it. He moved out here. He lived on Emerson's land, but I think Emerson owned it just for logging, if I'm not mistaken. Beautiful path. Sometimes if you could just take one moment, make it last forever. Heard that quote in a Star Trek movie. But beautiful days walking like this does make you think of that. We have some more quotes coming up. And these, oh, look at that. We got apples. I'm going to try it out. Brister's apples. America is said to be the arena on which the battle of freedom is to be fought. But surely it cannot be freedom in merely political sense that is meant. Do we call this land of the free? What is to be free from King George and continue the slaves of King Prejudice? What is it to be born free and not to live free? What is the value of any political freedom but as a means to moral freedom? Oh, gosh. The apple's still slightly sour. Not bad. All right, we'll throw our apple into the forest. Hopefully it'll make another apple tree. Now this is the part where I've never been. So, it says, down the road on Brister's Hill lived Brister Freeman, slave of Squire Cummings. Once there where grow still the apple trees which Brister planted and tended. Thoreau. And we just had one of those apples. And there's still more to see, folks, so hang around. This needs to be cleaned up a little. I'll clean it up a little as we go. I wish to speak a word for nature, for absolute freedom and wildness, as contrasted with freedom and culture merely civil, to regard man as inhabitant or a part and parcel of nature rather than mentor of society. Isn't that wonderful? This is a map. And so we're here. This is Route 2. And we just walked in from Fairyland Pond. And we walked up this way, all around this. I went down this way a little ways and down this way a little ways by accident. Emerson, Thoreau, Amble. We're still on it. This is the Walden Project, Walden Woods Project, Thoreau's Path on Bristol Hill. I won't read the whole thing. See, Thoreau's Path on Bristol Hill honors Henry David Thoreau, social reformist, natural philosopher, one of America's most powerful and influential writers. Thoreau, who lived at Walden Pond from 1845 to 1847, was among the first to formulate the theory of forest succession, a precursor to modern ecology, and used Brister's Hill as a study area. The land here, degraded by sand and gravel mining in the mid-20th century, is slowly regenerating, offering opportunity to observe forest succession in progress. The words inscribed in granite along the path were written by Thoreau. He recognized that social responsibility and environmental stewardship are linked, just as people are linked to each other and to nature. And we will link to this so that you can read the whole thing if you want. And I'll show you like this is Walden Street. Thoreau's bean field would have been over on the far corner, and his cabin and Walden Pond are I don't know, half a mile that direction. And the garden we started at or ended up at a while back is back that way. And so let's continue on. We're almost done here. Brister's Hill. And so, if I'm not mistaken, we still have yet to cross where the actual Brister's, the stone where Bristol's house was at. I think it's this way. And also Brister's Spring. Oh no, okay, I still got to circle back and find the stone of his house. We are back. This is, oh no, I'm still on the right path, I think. This is a handicapped area. There, like it's handicapped parking here. And so there are maintained wide handicap trails that are available. And so, yeah, we're going the right way. Okay, Brister Freeman home site. And so this trail traverses the former property of Brister Freeman, previously enslaved person who took his freedom during his service in the Revolutionary War. Freeman's actions were among the first that inspired the formation of a small black community of 15 formerly enslaved people and their families here in Walden Woods. And there's plenty to read about this. I would like to, I'm continuing to learn about this myself, and I've learned a lot more in the last week than I knew before. I'm still reading about it, and it's just amazing to know the hardships that some people have went through. Makes our own hardships. And so this stone here says, near here lived Brister Freeman, dated 1822, formerly enslaved in Concord. Finda Freeman died 1811, so Brister Freeman died 1822, and their family. And then it has a quote from Henry here. Down the road on the right hand on Bristol Hill lived Brister Freeman, where grew apple trees which Bristol planted and tended. Thoreau, Walden, 1854. And so that's pretty cool. So up that way, we'll head down this way. And I'm not sure if Brister's spring, there's a spring as well where he would get his water, and I think it's down this way. But I have thoroughly enjoyed this walk. Sorry for the turnarounds. May edit them out, but maybe not. We'll see. We are unless we want to do some more in Fairyland and the Hapgood Forest, we'll probably be doing our next walks in Walden itself, and moving on to that. But some of these hollows, I would imagine, were hollowed out for usage at some point. Could be just general erosion, but it's hard to say. And people that live here now are not quite as have a little more to do, a little more funding than people that lived here in the past. There's actually a road across the street called Brister's Hill. We are walking right along Walden Street. We're now walking back towards town and to the circling. It's a big circle back to the opening on the path. They just redid this road, actually. Bicycler whistling by. Lots of people bicycle in this town. Okay. Yeah, I did not see the spring. I'm not sure where the spring is at. We'll have to come back for a short on the spring. All right, thanks for coming along on our walk, and let me know if you know anything else about Freeman, about Mr. Freeman, and please subscribe. Thanks.